Through Weight Loss by Hers, you can give yourself something to be excited about in 2025. You can spend the new year in control of your weight by losing up to an average of 9 pounds in your first month. This is based on data that real Hers customers have reported based on their personalized compounded GLP-1 treatment plans. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by providing access to affordable weight loss treatment plans, delivered straight to your door if prescribed. Hers offers a holistic weight loss program with personalized solutions, including compounded GLP-1 weekly injections, featuring the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy or oral medication kits. So if you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it's time for you to find the best option that works for you through Hers. Start your initial free online visit today at forhers.com/KKC. That's FORHERS.com/KKC for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/KKC. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased.
Raise your hand if you want your nails to look perfect all the time. Me too. I'm Sarah Gibson-Tuttle from Olive & June, and this is exactly why we created the Mani System. We wanted to make it possible for everyone everywhere to give themselves a beautiful manicure at home. With our tools and our long-lasting polish, each manicure with our Mani System comes out to just $2. That's right, $2. No more $30, $40, $50 manis that you get at a salon and they take hours. Now you can paint your nails on your time and love them more than ever. And by the way, when people ask, who did your nails? Where did you get them done? You're going to proudly say, I did them myself. Get 20% off your first Mani System with code FRESHMANI20 at oliveandjune.com/freshmani20. That's code FRESHMANI20 for 20% off at oliveandjune.com/freshmani20.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Hope that you're having a great start to your week. And I got to tell you, I've got some great upcoming episodes this week. I'm going to be covering Kobe Bryant and O.J. Simpson. I've got a great episode for you today. I want to make sure that you go back and you listen to last Friday's episode. I talked about an HBO documentary series called An Update on Our Family. The first episode aired last week, and now you can get the second episode this week. There are 3 episodes. And it's a real window into the unique story of the Stauffer family, who had a YouTube channel and adopted a child from China and what happened in the aftermath. Must watch, must listen to episode. I'm with Kate Kennedy from Be There in 5 podcast on that episode. Then on Tuesday, the episode was about the memoir written by Sherry Frankie, the daughter of Ruby Frankie. Ruby Frankie had a YouTube channel with her family too called 8 Passengers. And this is a real harrowing story about what was happening behind the scenes of that YouTube channel. A lot of abuse. So make sure that you check out those episodes. Very important. And please feel free to share. I know that there are a lot of people that are fascinated by family vloggers. And I think both of these episodes really showcase the dangers. So brings me to this episode. So Carlos King, my buddy, and I have been talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City from the very beginning. And he is a storied reality TV producer. He is the host of Reality with the King podcast, but he has worked on a number and produces a ton of reality shows. But more importantly, was there from the very beginning of Real Housewives of New Jersey and Atlanta. I mean, he was witness to Teresa slamming down the table, Cop Without a Badge book, the whole thing. And also major moments in Atlanta, like fights between Nene and Kim, the moment where Nene realizes her birth father is not who she thinks, all witness to that. So when he says in this episode that this was an episode like he had never seen, I took his word for it. So we kind of deep dive this episode, but with the lens of, I'm asking him from a producer lens, how heavy-handed was the production in it? Because to me, it felt very heavy-handed. Some of the high points, low points, things that you need to know about this epic finale is that they've kind of they're ending their trip. You know, they always go on the Housewives trips, and that's kind of something where you get all of them in one room together and it's going to culminate in some big ball of fighting or energy. Okay. So we begin the episode with Heather throwing a lunch, and it's a Lisa Barlow themed lunch. So everyone dresses up like her. Now, in theory, it would be funny, except Whitney, who despises Lisa, shows up with a wig on and an outfit with tags attached, which is a real punch to the gut to Lisa Barlow, who really, leans into the fact that like she's the fashionista. I mean, she's said that she's got someone in Milan that's pulling clothes for her. So to suggest that she's returning clothes that's a pointed attack, if I say so. Okay, so they get into fights, and that kind of sets the tone for a bunch of other fights. Brittany, who is a friend of the show, who doesn't seem calculating or maniacal, but clearly has a career off Broadway and has been looking for the opportunity to be a television star and is leaning into it. She wants Meredith to apologize for suggesting that she was secretly recording a conversation between Meredith and her husband. Meredith, of course, refuses to do so. So Brittany runs off. Angie runs off for her. Mary feels slighted because she doesn't like Brittany. And she's like, Angie, if you're a really close friend of mine, why would you go and support this other person? Then they have this conversation where Mary explains she feels betrayed by Angie for this very small thing. And she has a tendency to cut people off because of her deep abandonment issues because of her parents. I'm not going to lie, I cried. It was pretty deep. However, as I explained with Carlos, there's still something I kind of miss with Mary and Angie's friendship. I feel like they're not giving us a lot of information. Mary, of course, has a son that's really struggling with addiction. And as we're watching this unfold, she had put him into a treatment program. However, the bond between the two of them seems to be more than just that. And I don't know if we're getting all of the answers. So when Mary cuts her off, it just seems silly because it's like she just went to run after somebody who was upset about a conversation. So we get into that. But the biggest thing that we get into is that at the end of the episode, Heather has this idea, given that Monica had a burn book last season, that they should all do something that for the betterment of one another, which is to find the most hellacious text that they've written about someone else, hand their phone to that said person, and have them read out loud the most horrific thing that they wrote about them. So what I struggled in watching that was how much of this was their idea, how much of it was done by somebody who worked on the show, and why would they do it? All of the kind of behind the scenes things that I think that you probably also were thinking about. I mean, Mary starts with a text about Heather saying that her business success changed her to be competitive and super mean. But then Heather replies, I understand why you said those things. And in a confessional says that I don't ever want my newfound confidence to come across as mean. And then Heather and Mary agree to, in Heather's words, a clean slate. But I just felt like Mary just quickly could find this really nasty text. And from what I've understand, that's probably not the worst text she sent. I mean, it seems like they all kind of go way below the belt. So the kicker was Angie then gives Bronwyn her phone to read a text that Angie wrote about Bronwyn's. This is the exact quote. Ready? Business plan of marrying a guy with one foot in the grave and one foot on a banana peel. Now, Bronwyn's husband is, I believe, like 26 years older than her. So he's quite a bit older than her. He's very successful. And there's also something about her wearing a hot dog dress because she essentially does something vulgar. I don't know. It was pretty dark. It was pretty dark. And then Whitney reads Heather's text. She calls her cousin a low-life, thirsty piece of shit. And she sold her soul for fame and recognition. I'm not kidding you. You're like, why would anyone agree to that? I think many of you have already watched the episode and you're ready to dig into it. If you have not watched the episode, we're not going to ruin anything. We're just really talking about the state of Housewives and what we require of them, what the audience says, what they feel like they need to be, and whether or not a little kernel of something can spiral into an idea by somebody involved with the show. So these are just our opinions. Neither of us work on the show, but these are our opinions. So join us in this discussion. Here's my interview with Carlos King. Carlos King.
Hey, Casey.
Where have you been? Where have you been?
Oh, girl, I was in Hawaii for New Year, and I went to Sydney, Australia after that. And now I'm back in the States and I get to talk to my friend Kate Casey. So all is well in the world.
Well, I'm glad you're back because we have a lot to talk about. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I take a pause because there was a lot to process. And there's no better person for me to talk to because I feel like I need the lens of the producer to tell me what you thought about this episode because it to me felt like a lot of producer involvement. Okay, so let's go through the top.
Go ahead.
Now, from the beginning, I want to know what you think about these. Heather plans the theme lunch. No, we all know that they don't come up with their own ideas. This idea for a theme was pretty dark if you really thought about it because she thought to herself, the only theme that Lisa Barlow will participate in is one where it's all about her. And Lisa didn't seem to be bothered that all of them were mocking her in their own way. These sort of theme lunches, what do you think about them?
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. And I love that you brought up the producer's hand in this episode because when I watched the episode, I said to myself, shout out to the producers.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to the cast. Like, they don't have a mind of their own. They do, obviously. But there is a purpose of a producer. And as a producer, what I can say to you all is there is a conversation that happens with cast about like, hey, so what do you think would be something you want to do? Sometimes the cast will come up with things. Sometimes the producers can suggest a thematic, party or event. I strongly believe, and we'll get into the finale scene at the dinner, but let's start with the Lisa Barlow lunch, which, look, I loved it. Because the thing is this, I love anything that can make me laugh. You know, I love anything that's sort of like a little wacky, right? To see them dressed up as Lisa Barlow was funny to me. And it was obviously staged. It was staged in the sense of seeing all of them line up and Lisa Barlow happens to come out last and said, oh my gosh, I was running late. It was like, no, you have to come out last so that you're able to see all of the girls dress up as you. But I loved it. And I thought it was really funny. And look, that Whitney honey.
Well, that's the part that was dark. That was dark.
I mean, to begin with it being funny and them mocking Lisa Barlow. And look, this may be an unpopular opinion based on your listeners. I'm not sure, but I love Lisa Barlow. I love the whole cast, to be honest with you. I think it's a great cast. But I like that Lisa Barlow owns that she's not, the most politically correct in the sense of like, she has no self-awareness. And that's okay for me to watch a reality star.
Well, of course, that's part of the course. You have to have very little understanding of oneself to, I think, be a successful person on a reality show because otherwise you have somebody who's too thoughtful about every single scene.
Yeah, and it's not, and they play it safe for the audience. Well, I want to say this because I don't want Twitter to be mad at me. I like that Lisa Barlow's like, this is who I am. I don't sit in 17C. I don't care if the flight's for 15 minutes or 45 minutes. I find that to be hilarious to watch. But anyways, to see them mock her and her like enjoy it was great. Now, when Whitney walked away from the lunch table with the tag, and Lisa Barlow's like, oh, you left your tag. And it's like, Whitney said, well, I heard that you returned clothes. Hey, Casey, stop in the name of love, Diana Ross. I hollered. Whitney is underrated in the sense of, look, I think Whitney plays it up for the camera. I think she hams it up. I'm a true watcher, and I wonder if you catch this, Kate. If you look at Whitney, she constantly is laughing during intense moments because she finds it to be great TV and she knows exactly what's happening and she knows what she's doing.
I feel like she's always bubbling at the surface. She is enraged throughout the entire filming process. And I feel like this season, and certainly the season past, there's a lot of audience question of whether or not there's enough reason for her to be part of the show anymore. And I felt like she felt that deeply and wanted to go guns a-blazing.
I agree. There's a lot of conversation about whether Meredith or Whitney should be demoted or let go. I've been seeing a lot of that online. And I met Whitney recently. She's beautiful. She's a great person. In terms of the meat of the story, there is questions about what is really there when you have someone like Bronwyn and Angie K and Lisa Barlow, who gives a lot to the show. But I definitely think Whitney is making her mark. And I think she's trying to make sure that she stays on the show, stays relevant. And to your point, she's making things happen so that she could be a part of the conversation. And I think Lisa Barlow knows it. Whitney definitely has it out for Lisa Barlow. And that was evident throughout this entire episode.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment, and Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
Behind those cozy nights at home, thousands of employees at BP go to work every day. People producing more U.S. natural gas. People building grid-scale solar capacity. People turning landfill waste gas into pipeline-quality renewable natural gas. And people delivering all of that power where it's needed. They're part of the more than 300,000 jobs BP supports across the country. Learn more at bp.com/investing in America.
Now, I will say this, though. As dark as it is, and it is dark, I'm sure that every single audience member did think to themselves, yeah, is that what they're doing? Do they go and wear clothes and bring them back immediately? Because I mean, Carlos, talk to me about the cost of a Real Housewife in the modern era. What it like? We're not talking about Orange County first season. What is sort of required in the lexicon of like what they're supposed to look like and wear, and the luxury and the glamour and the car and the house? And this seems like it is an exhaustively expensive process of getting the right clothes, so to speak. There's no way that most of them have the money that it costs to have that kind of look.
So the thing about it is this, it's not even just limited to Real Housewives, Kate. It's reality TV in general. Reality TV in the sense of shows that sort of, has this sort of overview of a fabulous life, right?
Yeah.
You may have noticed this, because you and I are alike in the sense of we catch everything. There is a reason why you see a lot of housewives wear the same dresses.
Yeah.
Right? In their confessionals. We've seen it. I want to say we see it across like all of the shows where it's like, wait, I think Tamara wore that. Wait, no, I think Meredith wore that. No, I think Portia wore that. Whatever the case may be. I'm just naming names. Is because a lot of them get their outfits from a stylist who pulls them from a boutique where they loan them these clothes, right? A lot of the women who wears clothes in their confessionals, I'll start there, they're not their own clothes. And it's because you're only wearing that outfit for one time and you're not going to repeat it. So that's a lot of the reasons why you guys may see the confessional looks being repeated across all of the franchises. Now, number 2, it is true. A lot of women return the clothes that they wear. It is true. Because it's very expensive to try to perpetuate this lifestyle for the audience when you can't afford it. So that is very much the case. Now, look, do I think Lisa Barlow rents her clothes? Listen, I don't know Lisa Barlow personally. Based on what I'm seeing, and I want to get your opinion too, she appears to be well off. I'm not going to say she's like super wealthy, like a Kathy Hilton, but she appears to be well off. I would say this. I would be surprised if Lisa Barlow returns clothes to Saks Fifth Avenue after she wears it on camera. I think she's too conscious of herself and her image to do that. But what do you think?
I think you're probably right. I do feel like she wears clothes that are of the season. That's a big deal because I had a stylist over at my house about 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, tell me more.
And I asked her to look through some Housewives pictures. This is a stylist that works with like people that go to Oscar awards. And they said, none of these look like they're in season. They said that they thought Lisa Barlow was in season, but they were not in season. And she said, some of these clothes, I don't even think Gucci or Chanel has ever made. What the stylist explained to me is most housewives are wearing things that either are a couple seasons old or they're things that probably were never made by that luxury company, which makes sense to me because, I mean, especially if you live in a very expensive area, the amount of money one would need to maintain that kind of lifestyle is a lot. And I would assume that people who have major companies don't want to be on a reality show. It's a certain kind of person. While I do think that a lot of the opportunities they get, the ancillary opportunities, make them a lot of money, I don't know if it's enough money that you are going to be in head-to-toe luxury, also have access to private jets, go on luxury trips, live in a beautiful home, have your kids go to private school. Like all those things really do add up. And I liked it more so in the beginning of Housewives where you saw, a little bit more authenticity about that. I think that it's gotten a little out of control. So that's why that moment felt very dark to me because one, she's trying to like really kick her in the knees, right? But it also for me was like a bigger conversation about have we taken this too far that someone feels like they cannot be the best version of themselves, the most honest version of themselves because they're trying to keep up with an aspirational lifestyle that's just not real.
Yes. I mean, the thing is this. Social media has changed the landscape of reality television for the foreseeable future. And this is somebody whose first show, me as a producer, was The Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2008. And then later that year, I did New Jersey Housewives, right? Like, this is when the only housewife that was airing was OC. So New York just wrapped filming, but it wasn't airing yet. It was being promoted on Bravo. So I was there when there was no such thing as like, let me, buy all of these fabulous clothes for the sake of perpetuating this lifestyle, right? I think what's happening now is a lot of people on social media are just very mean. Mm-hmm. And these women feel the need to, unfortunately, keep up with the lifestyle in which the brand is all about. And they become broke by buying these clothes or sometimes getting plastic surgery or changing their entire look, which again is your choice and your body, do what you want to do. But I do think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of people are vicious. And it is sort of losing the authenticity of like, nobody wakes up with full makeup. If you really watch the first seasons of like New York, OC, and Atlanta, and great. Jersey, but even more so K2, they weren't wearing full-on glam.
No, they weren't.
After cooking their kids' breakfast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of them were wearing, Lululemon, going to the grocery store. Now you have like, you see a housewife wake up in the morning with eyelashes and a, you know what I mean? And full glam. And it's like, no woman wakes up that way. So I do miss that part of it. And I think that's the reason why when you look at Salt Lake City and you look at Lisa Barlow, I at least appreciate the fact that she broke down and cried last season when she did not want to appear on camera for that scene where you had to like be makeup free. And she had a meltdown with the producer.
I know, but that was dark
appreciate
too.
that.
I appreciate it, but that was dark too. It's like, because I know that on the other end of that, she opens up her DMs. And for every 3 that say, I thought you were so funny, you know, killing it, blah, 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 blah. There are about 6 that say, why haven't you spent any of your money on a lower facelift? And I'm telling you, that can be debilitating for somebody.
Yeah.
The fact, if anybody should be listening to this and go, yeah, I did reach out to someone, tell them they need more filler or Botox. The housewives feel like they need to keep up with an audience that has become quite vicious too. So it's this terrible circle. And I wish that it would go back. I wish Pamela Anderson could be the inspiration for some changes in the housewives, because I think we're setting up a system where it's going to be near impossible to actually cast women, because they don't want to face the barrage of insults that come their way, and they have to keep up with the lifestyle that's just not part of their reality, and may actually put their family in a terrible financial position.
When you look at someone like Diana Jenkins, right, who was on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, who obviously on paper had the lifestyle and everything and had more money than all of the women combined. When you look at her and how, to your point, social media railroaded her. Yeah. And she was like, you know what? I don't need this show. I just don't need it. I'm hanging out with Elton John. I was on this show for 2 months and brought Elton John to appear on it. Not Boy George, do you know what I mean? But Elton John. But social media gave her such they were vicious to her. And I thought, look, I'm not saying I was a fan of hers, but what I'm saying is it wasn't okay that she got viciously torn apart by the audience. And that's why she was like, look, I'm not coming back. And I know she allegedly had COVID and she's not coming to the reunion.
But by the way, COVID's always the perfect excuse.
Yeah, I was like...
When someone gets COVID, you're like, don't come. Please.
Don't come, honey. Like, that's the one doctors know they can get away with. While she's in Hawaii. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was
like smoking a cigarette on the beach. Sure.
Like, I'm out of here. Yeah. But to your point, when a woman really has a lifestyle, I really do think it's hard to cast those women nowadays, because they just don't want to deal with these mean tweets. And I understand that.
Okay, another thing. Let me be clear about this to the rest of the world. Each child that you have does a number on your body, okay? I'm just speaking about my own experience, like the DMs that I get, like, get more Botox. I have given birth to 5 children, okay? I have a life well lived.
You're beautiful though, Kay. I mean,
I have a life well lived. So back the fuck off, okay? They're all women that have lives well lived. They have lines in their face, which are beautiful representations of experiences that they've had. Let's respect that and celebrate that. They shouldn't look like 25-year-olds.
No.
They've earned those lines. So back the fuck off. Sorry.
Listen, sister, I agree with you. And that's why I defend reality stars, because the bravery and the courageousness that they have to give their lives and themselves and their looks, all of that to the audience, only for them to be ripped apart, is not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I appreciate someone like a Lisa Barlow, who's like, look, this is me being flawed and it's up for debate, but I at least appreciate the fact that she's not hiding from her own authenticity. And I will always appreciate that from a reality star, whether or not I agree with it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so then let's get towards the end. Well, 2 things sister. I actually have a question for you. One is, well, I guess it's with the end of it. So we have this dinner at the end, and Whitney, of course, reveals the tag conversation, and she gets into this fight with Lisa Barlow, which culminates into Heather getting mad. And she says, look at us. We're so obsessed with trying to find the receipts, trying to find the proof, trying to poke holes in each other's stories, expose each other to find out who planted a story about us. Heather recalls the season's biggest arguments. We should support each other, she says. It hurts when you're called bad mothers. It hurts when someone attacks our business. It hurts when someone says we're ugly. These are the types of things we have to fight for in the world. We shouldn't have to fight it here at this table. And then she brings up Monica bringing the burn book. We all have our own burn books, she said. They're in our phones, and none of us are without fault. We've said horrible, hurtful things about each other when we should be honoring and celebrating and keeping the space sacred and private. And then declares at the dinner that they're going to solve the problem, and they're going to do so by pulling out the nastiest text they've ever written about a castmate, hand the phone to the castmate, and then have them read it out loud. We will burn it and we will move on. That to me felt so producer heavy and, of course, very dark. What did you think?
I agree that I felt like that was the idea of the producer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion. I don't think Heather came up with that on her own. I think it was a moment to really give us a finale that was worth talking about. And, job succeeded. My mouth was on the floor.
Yeah.
Like on the floor when they read the meanest text messages they said to each other. Because let's have a real conversation. Every one of us is guilty of saying something not nice about someone else via text. We're all guilty of that, right? All of us.
Yes.
So the sort of like genius idea of bringing the iconic Mean Girls movie to life with the burn book, then sort of aligning that with Monica Garcia's failed attempt. And I told Monica this myself, girl, I love you, but yikes. Failed attempt at recreating that moment at the reunion. And then to bring it back full circle for a finale where Whitney said, I spoke to Monica.
Right.
I thought it was genius in the sense of like really orchestrating a full circle moment. And I appreciated the producer, allegedly, coming up with that. I had no idea, KKC, that it was going to be as vicious as it was. And when I say to you, mouth on the floor, I've never seen anything like that in my career. Ever.
That says a lot.
I've seen Nene and Kim go at it.
Wow. And I'm just going to take a moment for that. Wow.
Think about it.
Yeah.
When Nene and Kim shade each other, like, your car got repossessed. Get your house fixed. Get your teeth fixed. Like, that's kind of like shady dark, but it's also funny, right? But when Bronwyn, let's have a moment of silence that Bronwyn did. She could not even read the text message out loud before she started crying. Like to have a glimpse of what Angie K wrote about her and then to choke up. And I'm like, wait, you didn't say anything. Then to read her say, your husband has one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel.
I felt that was, listen, for the first moment, everyone's kind of like taken back. There were some people that were like, that was hilarious. What you pointed out earlier, like get your teeth fixed, like that's pretty harsh. Shannon Bedore, and Kelly Dodd, like, shave your face. That's harsh, right. But it's like one thing. This is like summing up everything that makes you a horrible person in your life, disgusting. And humiliating someone by having them read it on camera and in front of a bunch of women that they already don't feel like they have complete trust in. That to me was what felt very dark about it. And I didn't really actually buy that those text messages were written by any of those people. I feel like someone else wrote them and said, I want you to read this. Because you can't tell me Mary was scrolling through her phone and had this very well-crafted statement on Heather. I don't think that Mary actually spends that much time thinking about Heather. I think Mary is so caught up, especially this season, and what was going on with her son. I just don't see Mary sitting there and crafting out this whole thing. And who would she have sent it to?
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Wondery.
You were made to travel the world and the 7 seas and countless lakes and innumerable rivers and one perfect pond. Get travel ideas from ChatGPT on Expedia. Made to travel.
I don't believe that Angie wrote that herself. I feel like somebody wanted to get the ball rolling and move it and put it, with the typo. The fact that Heather is saying, we're obsessed with trying to find the receipts, trying to find the proof, trying to poke the holes in each other's stories, expose each other to find out who planted the story about us. She's hitting all of the message points of the previous season, which was so successful. And then I feel like someone took it a little too far and crafted that and had them all read it. And that's the part which felt pretty sad to me.
Oh, wow. When I say to you, Kate, that never computed to me the idea that someone else would have drafted the text message. I remember that moment so vividly. So the one thing that did cross my mind, and that's why I got to sit with what you just said. I'm gagging right now. As I was watching the finale, the one thing that did cross my mind was, how are you able to find the text messages?
Yeah. How?
Do you know what I mean? Like if you said to me, Carlos, send me the meanest text message you said about, let's just name a person. Let's just say Kate. What's the meanest thing you said about Kate? Mind you, there's nothing I said to mean about Kate.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? Search my name in your phone, scroll through. By the way, I'm a perpetual deleter because I delete emails. I don't like a lot of crud in my inboxes or any of that. The only friend I think I have that actually keeps every text message is probably Heather McDonald. Most people don't keep old text messages. They don't.
I love you so much. Oh my God, we're the same person. I thought, okay, so again, in my reality.
And if you wrote something so bad, why would you want to keep it in your phone? Wouldn't you be disgusted with yourself?
So that's what I was going to say. Okay. Oh my gosh, I never thought about this. Okay. So in real time, as I'm watching this, I said to myself, because I always, and I think we all do, hopefully we all do, because that's the reason why we all watch reality television. I thought about myself would I have a mean text message that's still in my phone?
No.
Right? That was number one. Number two, how would I be able to find that in the first place? So that was my second thought. And then I was like, okay, Carlos, you're a producer. So obviously, editing made it seem like they found it immediately, but maybe it took them a moment. But what never crossed my mind was the idea that, did somebody else write this for them? That never crossed my mind. And I have to sit with that because the texts were so
specific and mean.
If okay, so your theory is somebody wrote it for them. Now, to counter that, because I do believe that Heather did not come up with that on her own. So we both agree on that point, right?
Yeah.
So what could have happened was they could have been told, this is what we're going to do.
I think the idea may have started with Heather, but in a different way. I think Heather may have said, it is brutal to be a housewife. We are inundated. There's a barrage of nasty things that are sent our way. And I'm just frustrated at this point that we're creating a show where we're doing even worse than what the audience does to us. And that little kernel of something spun into something else.
Yes. So maybe they had hours to find it. That's the only way to rationalize it. But nonetheless, it's hard to shock me at this stage of my career and in reality television. And I did not expect that level of venom based on the reality of them reading the text messages. I felt horrible for Bronwyn. I could not imagine reading that. And the other thing for me is this. Maybe I'm the minority in the situation. I believe Bronwyn loves her husband. Oh, Kate, do you disagree?
Um,
ooh. Kate, bring it to me, girl.
I don't know how you can love someone who just seems to be so... If she does love him, she loves the idea of something, but he doesn't seem to be somebody worth loving.
But you know this being a married woman.
Or maybe he was so supportive to her when she had a young child and she feels a sense of loyalty. But I hope that if she does love him, at some point she finds her own power and realizes she's worth more than that. I mean, in the beginning, she's trying to sell us that he's this great husband. I'm like, I don't feel like this is accurate.
You never bought that.
And then, she reveals that he cheated on her. We see the way he talks to her in a very demeaning tone. So then I was frustrated. I was like, you're trying to convince us that he's such a great husband. Now you're like being honest about how unhappy you are with the way he treats you. And now I feel like it's left in our hands. Like, well, what do you want us to do with that now?
Yeah. No, you're right. So the thing is, but Kate, let's get to like the natural reaction. Like, she reminded me, I'm such a movie person, and she's one of my favorite actresses, Diane Lane.
Oh, legend.
Right? Okay.
Legend.
That's why I love you. Okay. The way she acts when she's in character.
Yeah.
The movie with her and Richard Gere, there were two movies, but the one about the affair.
Oh, I can remember being at the movie theater right now watching it. Yes.
Casey, you're my sister, I'm not the mister.
Yes.
I think about which is
Olivier. He played the hot guy that she slept with in the bathroom. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the way her heart, you can literally see her chest palpitating, her heart palpitating.
Yeah.
And the veins in her neck when she had the affair and how they first like made love to each other because she felt guilty but passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bring that up to say, I saw the raw emotions from Bronwyn and I was like, oh my gosh, what did Angie K say? So I think at the end of the day, Bronwyn's reaction to that sold it to me that this is bad. And when I say to you, of all the scenes I've watched in my career, that is one of my all-time most emotional scenes to date. One of. Because I just felt bad for Bronwyn. I felt horrible for her. Because like the Lisa Barlow rant, which we'll get to, whatever. Not whatever, like, girl, bye. It was like, okay, whatever. But the Bronwyn emotional reaction sold it for me that, wow, I feel bad for her.
Yeah. I also cried a bit when Mary talked about abandonment. Lord knows I totally understand a lot of what she was saying. But I still think her friendship with Angie is a little awkward. And sometimes it's because maybe they're both very like cold women. Like there's so many moments where Mary's expressing herself and I'm just waiting for Angie to reach out and hug her, but she doesn't. And then it felt like an immature conversation in the beginning of it where Mary kind of like gets mad at her because she had the audacity to like run and try to comfort someone else because she's like your enemy for whatever dumb reason. But like, cutting her off. And then she's like, I need you. You've changed my life, Mary. That felt a little bit unauthentic to me. You've changed my life, Mary. I'm like, okay, but give us some context. How? Did she change your life because she gave you the playbook on this is how you become a housewife and now you have this job? Like what's the context here?
Right. That was the thing. I didn't understand the specifics of like, what did Mary actually do to warrant that statement? Listen, I definitely think they like each other for sure, but I didn't, unless I missed something.
I feel like I missed something.
Yeah, I didn't see anything based on what they showed me because let's be clear here. We can only judge based on what we're shown. I did not see anything based on what they've shown us this season that warranted you changed my life. And I was like,
yeah, I was like thrown. I was like,
kind of confused. What does that mean, love? I was confused by that.
Yeah. And then Heather was like, I believe in your friendship. I just felt like if you took somebody who never watched Housewives and they watched that scene, they would be so confused.
Yes, because listen, I watched it. I was confused. I'm like, what did Mary do? And
What did Mary do?
I didn't understand I didn't understand the statement. The sentiment, yes, I do believe they like each other. Yes. I didn't understand that particular statement. I didn't get that. I didn't get that. And hopefully they talk about it at the reunion, but I didn't understand what Mary did, girl. But to your point, did she like suggest you for the show? Like, was that it?
Yeah. Like, did she invite you to like a Kathy Hilton party and then like that set you up with an agent and a publicist? And like, give me some context. I don't know.
I love you, Kate.
I don't know. Anyway, I know you have to run. This was fun. I appreciate your insight. Let's say from 1 to 10, how much producer involvement do you think was in this finale episode?
I think 10. I think 10 personally. But again, I'm not mad at it. It goes to
I can
show
see
you,
why. Yeah.
It gave a very, very satisfying finale. Salt Lake City, Kate, those girls are hungry. Those girls are hungry and they want it. They want
come
it
to
badly.
Work.
They come to work. They're not jaded. They're not there thinking they're bigger than the show, the network.
True.
And I appreciate that level of authenticity from them. I as you know this, wasn't the biggest fan of the franchise, but honey, I am a believer now, and I believe it. And I'm certainly here for it.
I'm just remembering when you said it the first season, you were like, you could have called this Real Housewives of Scottsdale, and I would have gone, okay, sure. I don't know. I think you could still be right. There's nothing about Salt Lake or, I still don't like really get the city.
The city isn't the backdrop. It's not the draw, like for sure. But certainly the cast, they're stellar.
Like I would go to Salt Lake to like maybe witness them in person, but I don't know if it made me want to like book a resort and spend the week there.
Yes. And the thing about them too is I got a chance to meet a few of them, Kate. And what I will say to you honestly is they all in real life but they all in real life represent what they show on TV. And that made me happy.
That's good.
Lisa Barlow is 100% who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleased. So they're not actors by any stretch.
I saw a clip of Jenna Bush on Today's Show talking about her grandmother, Barbara Bush, and she said she was talking about like sometimes she was harsh and would say things where you're like, okay. But she said, she was totally herself. And then she said it prepared her for Kathy Lee Gifford because she's totally herself too. And that's a good way to put somebody. They're totally themselves, meaning there are great things about them. There are things that are pretty harsh or unlikable, but it is who they are. Yes.
And that's why I love this cast. I think all of them are stellar. And I'm very proud that the new sort of franchise, I think, because obviously Dubai got canceled. Salt Lake City is fairly newish amongst the collective. And I'm proud of those girls for making sure that they kept the momentum going season after season. Even after Jen Shaw left, Monica Garcia left, like they still show up to work, and I'm extremely proud of them. I really, really am.
I will caveat this. I will leave it with this. They're authentically themselves in their personalities. I don't know if the lifestyle is accurate. I want to be clear, like the distinction there. And I would really love to see a housewife. This is my hope. Someone be a little bit more honest about all the things that happen once you become a housewife. I feel like I have to have ancillary products. I'm not very good at licensing. I don't know if I have the best team behind me. I don't feel like my friends that I had before the show really see me the same way. I'm worried that my husband thinks I'm too distracted by the show. I would like some more of an acknowledgement of all of those things.
I agree.
All right. Well, tell everybody where they can listen to your most excellent podcast and all of the great shows you're working on.
Thank you, my love. So Reality with the King is my podcast. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we drop an episode. So you can find that we get your podcast. Reality with the King also has a special every Friday night on the Oprah Winfrey Network. So catch that at 8 o'clock 7 Central. And you can follow me on all social media platforms at @TheCarlosKing_.
And then at some point, we need to talk about Wags to Riches on Netflix.
Let's do that.
I've already watched
me.
2 episodes and I can't stop thinking about it.
Call me. Let's recap that. I'm being very serious.
Okay, good. Because I have some questions that need to be answered.
And I got some answers for you, baby.
Oh my God, perfect. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Love you, babe.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure that you click subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Get on board with the What to Watch list by subscribing at katecasey.substack.com, where you can get a list of what to watch in unscripted TV. I want you to sign up for Patreon for the bonus episodes by going to Patreon, patreon.com/Katecasey. I've got a really good one this week. And then follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter and Threads and Blue Sky at @KateCasey.
Hello, ladies and gerbs, boys and girls. The Grinch is back again to ruin your Christmas season with Tis the Grinch Holiday Podcast. After last year, he's learned a thing or two about hosting, and he's ready to rant against Christmas cheer and roast his celebrity guests like chestnuts on an open fire. You can listen with the whole family as guest stars like John Hamm, Brittany Broski, and Danny DeVito try to persuade the mean old Grinch that there's a lot to love about the insufferable holiday season. But that's not all. Somebody stole all the children of Whoville's letters to Santa, and everybody thinks the Grinch is responsible. It's a real Whoville whodunit. Can Cindy Lou and Max help clear the Grinch's name? Grab your hot cocoa and cozy slippers to find out. Follow Tis the Grinch Holiday Podcast on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Unlock weekly Christmas mystery bonus content and listen to every episode ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.